Okay, everybody. The concept I want to go over right now is that difference or distance between means subtraction. There are a lot of problems I'd like you to do today. You have a quiz coming up in a few days. But yeah, I want to go over this concept using subtraction a little bit. And I want to do that first, using page 17 in your textbook, example 3. You can pause the video there, make sure everybody gets to that page and that problem. Okay, and it asks which continent has the greater range of elevations? And you've got North America, right? North America ranges from 6198 meters, and its lowest elevation is 86 meters, or negative 86 meters, excuse me. Okay, so the range, you guys probably remember from 6th grade, range is the difference between the greatest and the least values, is the distance between them. So if I could back up for a second here and come up with a different concept, or a different problem, let's say, what is the distance? What is the distance, I don't know, between Jim and Jane? And let's say that, I don't know, they're on a mountain or something, and that Jim is up here, and that Jane is over here. Jim, Jane, right? And let's say that Jim is at an elevation of, I don't know, 2,000 feet, and we'll say that Jane is at an elevation of 1,990 feet. Okay, so the distance between them, let's say that's D, the distance between them is equal to the distance, Jim's height minus Jane's height. So the distance between them is 2,000 minus 1,990. So the distance between them is 10 feet, right? Okay, now what happens if the distance between Jim and Jane, let's say, right? Let's say that Jane is up here, and let's say that she's at, I don't know, 1,000 feet. And let's say that Jim is underwater, right? Let's say he's at negative 50 feet. Jim. So the distance between them is still, a difference. It's a subtraction. So this is going to sound funny, but the distance between them, I'll write it up here so we can see everything. The distance between them is equal to Jane's height minus Jim's height, right? And so watch what's going to happen. Jane is at 1,000 feet. Jim is at negative 50 feet, so you have to make sure you include that piece. And if we think about this for a second, that's where Jane is. The water is located at 0 feet. That's the way elevations work. So the water is located at 0 feet, and so Jane is 1,000 feet away from that. Whereas Jim, I know the picture's not perfect, you have to go an extra 50 feet to get to where Jim is. So really, that's combining, right? You have to go 1,000 feet just to get back to the water, and then another 50 feet to get down where Jim is. So the distance between the two is 1,050 feet. Now you guys know how to add the opposite. We know that we can get there If we take 1,000 minus negative 50, well, that's a subtraction problem. I said the word minus. 1,000, add the opposite. 1,000 plus 50 is 1,050 feet. You can pause the video here, let that sink in, and discuss with your partners if you like. Or, if you want to move on, we can check out the example on page 17. Okay, so here we are. The example on page 17, North America. Its highest point is 6,198 meters. I think that's like Mount McKinley in Alaska. And negative 86 meters. It's like somewhere in Death Valley, California, I think. So the range, the difference between those heights is 6,198 minus negative 86. Right, and you can put that in parentheses like this. So the range is equal to 6,198 plus, right, add the opposite, plus 86. Add those two together, and the range equals 6,284 meters. And you can do the other one for Africa. Africa actually has the greater distance, right, because in Africa, the range, sorry for the penmanship. Also, I'm rushing. The range is equal to 5,895 meters. The difference between those two, right? Difference means subtraction, right? Difference means subtraction. You guys have always known that. You know, what's the difference? The difference, you know, the difference between 10 and 9 is 1, right? The difference between those two numbers is 1. And so difference means subtraction. We've known that for a long, long time. We're going to use now that same concept, but with negative numbers. The difference between 5,895 and negative 155, you have to actually picture, right? Like Jane and Jim, here's our water level. Jim is down at negative 155, and Jane is up here at positive 5,895. Right, so this distance, the water is located at 0. That distance is 5,895. This distance is another 155. It's kind of like using absolute values, right? And so that's a combined distance. It's going to feel like adding. I mean, we kind of are adding them together. It's a combined distance of 6,050 meters.